Welcome back to Lee Pitts Live in the community in Lee County. No, the county is not named after me, but if it were,
It should be.
if anybody could get the name of the county changed to Lee Pitts, it would named after Lee Pitts. It would be my good friend right here.
The only Lee we acknowledge.
Chantel.
Lee Pitts County.
She started the slogan, the only Lee we acknowledge in Lee County is Lee Pitts. And I'm eating it up. I'm eating it up. Gosh, shucks. Let me bump you in, my friend. Now I'm so proud. I think this will be my first time sitting with you as a candidate, right? Yes. Hold that mic up a little higher. This is my first time sitting with Chantel Rhodes as a candidate. I want y'all to remember this name, Chantel Rhodes. You're going to see a lot of it as we move into 2022. Chantel, if you'll give me a second to set the scene for you. We are here at Billy Bowlegs Park in the heart of Fort Myers in the Dunbar community, one of the pride communities of the city of Fort Myers. We're here witnessing the Firecats homecoming celebration. That's a Little League pot water team. There's about 6 games going on today. Lee Pitts Live got here early this morning, just covered the first game and staying here to the end. That's the motto of our television show. No other media is out here covering this Soul Bowl but Lee Pitts Live, and that's what makes us unique, and that's why we do not have any competition. We're the only television talk show in Southwest Florida that travels throughout the community and value the Dunbar community.
Yes.
I'll take it from there. Now I got my good friend here, Chantel.
I appreciate you telling our stories and uplifting our voices. You are the only one out here covering this, and this is important to us, and that's why I say you the only lead that we acknowledge. We meaning the people. You matter to us. Your journalism matters to us, because how else will people be informed and educated?
They won't be informed, Chantel, and that's one of the great reasons why we need a person like you sitting as a city council person, because we can relate to you. We know you grew up in this community. You go so far back as to know that Lee Pitts Live has been on the air for 30 years. We didn't just start covering our community.
Right.
And I could be covering a lot of other things. I choose to cover my own community. And you were a part of my Learn to Swim program back in the 90s. Grew up, became successful, got her degrees. We're going to find out all about that when I talk to this upcoming city council person. You got all your training, traveled abroad, brought some of that experience back here, and now you're back here on the grounds, like setting foot on the moon. She's back here on her own soil. First of all, talk about being back here on your own soil and how it feels.
I feel as though when I first moved back from China, it took me a minute, because they call it like it's a reversal. You're going back to, what you knew after being away for so long. It took me a minute to get a little bit adjusted, but now I feel more at home than ever. More at home than ever before. And when I say at home, I feel as though I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
I know when I first left home, being Alabama, I never wanted to go back because I felt like I was not progressing if I went back home. But, I tried to get jobs back there, and I couldn't get I applied for a job there in banking. I couldn't get one, and I was so glad that it didn't happen at the time. But it was no thing like going back to your own hometown, being able to be around your own people. Now I've been in Fort Myers longer than I was actually in Alabama.
Right.
Okay, because I've been in Fort Myers over 30 years.
Right.
Long my adult life here, so this is my hometown, people.
Yes. And we are fortunate to have you, but being back home, you do go through those feelings of having different relationships, different feelings toward your hometown and toward the people in your hometown. And I feel so very blessed to be back here. I do feel like I've been away. I feel like there's so much more I have to learn and get reconnected with, but I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
But one of the things that happened when you left town, you saw other things, you saw progress, you developed your leadership skills, and then when you came back, you saw things that needed to be fixed. Instead of you looking at things that needed to be fixed and say somebody else needs to fix them, you put your energy, your education, your learning to work and became a part of the solution. Talk about that transformation to,
Yes.
hey, I don't need to get involved. I don't need to just be here going through the motion.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say I saw stuff that needed to be fixed, but I did see areas that weren't being addressed, areas that were important to me. And you're absolutely right. I think I had this aha moment where you do realize that it's on us. We are the new, I tease my friends, say, I'm like, we're the new aunts and uncles. We are the new ones that the kids are looking up to.
Right.
And because, we were just out here. It seems like just yesterday I was out here running around chasing my brother when he was playing Pop Warner football. So it is interesting, but again, this is ours to do, and it's about owning it and saying, you know what? I can lead in my own community. I can do things in my own hometown that will help me enhance my leadership skills and put those leadership skills that I did have to work.
Talk about your background now that we're starting to assess you as a candidate for the city of Fort Myers City Council. And I don't want to get this wrong. Would that be Ward 3?
That would be Ward 3. That's correct.
Thank you for not getting that wrong, Lee, because all these wards, and I deal with all these politicians every day, so I'm getting there. Ward 3.
So Ward 3. Ward 3 is where I spent part of my childhood. I went to a Christian school there. A lot of you know Mount Hermon Christian School. And my grandmother lived in Ward 3 practically my entire life. So what happened, my grandmother passed away, and that inheritance came on to me, and it just all came full circle. So when we talk about, owning this time and stepping up to the plate, that's what it came from for me. When my grandmother passed away, it was almost like the passing of a torch in a way. So this is just how I choose to show up and represent.
And I remember you as one of my little swimmers. You were always eager to learn. I think at the time, did you have some braids in your hair?
My mama had all kind of stuff going on with me.
And you were just
I
always
I
looking.
had the little puffs and stuff, but it was a trip.
But you didn't give me any. You didn't give me any hard time. You just followed directions and just did what you needed to do. Always concentrating. That concentration that you had also helped you in your education process. Talk about your education background.
I would say so. Once I left Fort Myers, graduated from North High School, I went to pursue my bachelor's degree. I earned my degree from the University of South Florida in criminology. So at the time, I knew I was interested in service.
Really?
I knew I was interested in helping people. And in fact, when I was in high school, a lot of people don't know this, but I was a Fort Myers police explorer. So I was interested in serving in that way, perhaps not so much as a police officer. A lot of people don't know that I enlisted into the United States Navy, but because of a medical condition, I was discharged from the Navy. All of this is fully documented, so it leaves me feeling like, where do I fit in? So I did go through that process of building myself while discovering myself and figuring out who I was and what I cared about. So after that, I spent some time working as a social servant in the Atlanta, Georgia area, getting my feet wet, being introduced to activism in a different way. And then during that time, I started my graduate degree at Georgia State University, where I became a MSW, a social worker. So, yeah.
Man, you've been around, got that real world experience, got the practical experience. After you finished up at Georgia State, take us from there and then work us back to Fort Myers.
I surely will. So during my time at Georgia State, we were entering into the Trump presidency. So I spent that entire summer prior to my graduation protesting and being angry in general at the conditions that we were faced with. And I had an exhaustion about myself that I had to leave. I had to step away. You know how that feels when if you have to step away from your hometown, you have to step away from a job. And I had to step away from the United States. And I recognized a good opportunity for me to teach English. I was not an educator by my degree work, but you know what?
Well,
I was able to go over there and teach kindergarten English in Shanghai, China for 2 years. After that, 2 years, my grandmother started to get sick, and I made the decision to come back and be here with my mother and my stepfather while they were going through that process. And within a year of me coming back, my grandmother passed away, and ever since then, I've been living and working in this community.
I'm sorry to hear about her passing. She was certainly a legend in the community. Your mom, Darlene, shouting you out, a legend as well.
Absolutely.
And your brother, outstanding singer, part part of my swimming program. I take credit for everybody. All y'all becoming successful. Chuck Rhodes, who will be performing at the bow ties, gowns, and cocktail dresses. Lee Pitts Live After Work. December the 10th. He's also going to be coming on my show before the end to do some promotional stuff. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with him. See how I slide all that in. Let's go back. Let's go back to.
I owe my brother a lot. Actually, I actually followed in his footsteps. He's a licensed clinical social worker. He's a therapist, and he was the one that helped me choose social work as a path. So yeah,
he's real
shout out
cool,
to the big brother.
Laid back. When I see y'all together, it's almost like symbolic. Like y'all almost like y'all twins. But did y'all do the normal stuff as kids too? Did y'all have y'all little fight like me and my sister?
Of course. Of course. And he brought up the other day how I got mad at him and poured water in his PlayStation because he was teasing me when I was little. But anyway, yeah, we had those moments, and that's the thing about families. Just like the relationship with your hometown, sometimes those family relationships become exhausted and strained, and it's all a process. And now we are stronger than ever. Losing a family member, my grandmother, it brought us closer together.
Right.
And so when you see us standing together, we stand together with purpose, with a vision for our lives, and for a vision for the world around us as well.
Let's talk about Ward 3, because I'm going to use Martin Luther King Boulevard as the starting point.
The Stars
on one
Complex.
side of, let's go. On one side of Martin Luther King Boulevard is Ward 1, right?
Okay.
The other side is Ward 2. Is that the way it works? Because Mount Herman is on one side.
So Mount Herman is considered in Ward 3. And so if you travel backwards towards the Stars Complex, the Kerry Robinson Center.
Going south.
Right. That is all a part of Ward 3, even out until Fowler.
Okay.
Right.
So you got a really diverse population.
Absolutely.
Which is good for you, because I think you can move well in both populations. That's America. And then you got a population that has not necessarily been energized.
Right.
A very small percentage of people have turned out to vote there, so there's opportunity for you there. I'm talking like a political strategist now, because I have to interview everybody. So talk about what you've already discovered. You're not waiting until the last minute to get out there and start knocking on doors. Talk about the reception that you're starting to get in, and the conversation that you're having sitting on those sofas.
So my team and we go out and when we connect with voters, and I don't connect in a way as if telling them to vote for me. I tell them what my plan is, but more importantly, I listen to them, what they feel about the area, how long they've been in the area, and what concerns that they have. This is how I prepare myself for this platform that I'm about to fully embark in, is just to get an idea of what the people feel is going on and what is important to them. So we're looking at a population of over 13,000 people, and when you look at the amount of people who have shown up historically to vote, there is something there where we have to tap into what is it going on with policy and politics, where younger people feel like that's something they would rather not participate in. And oftentimes I do think it has something to do with who is running, who the candidates are, and I wanted to respond to that. I wanted to respond to the need for leadership, the need for beautification. I ride through so many parts of Ward 3, and it's embarrassing. And, that is not solely on the government. People have to see the beauty in themselves, in their own communities. And so I'm embarking on a journey of growth and a journey of the mind, not just trying to win a seat or trying to win a position.
So when people think about the key things in your campaign, Chantel Rhodes, what are your big three?
So I would say my big three, one of them is safety, public safety, and I'm not talking about over policing, but when I mention safety, I want to be more inclusive I want to look at the crime in the area. I want to look at the amount of accidents in the area. I want to look. We take a look at what are children doing? Are they safe? The road coming from the Stars Complex, it fades out from a sidewalk just into the road. So you think about, is this okay for my children to grow up in this area? So in addition to safety, we're looking at jobs. We're looking at these business owners. Shout out to Miss Mildred's, who now has her restaurant back in Ward 3. And we're trying to grow these businesses and expand them and have opportunities for people in Ward 3
Mildred's
to take
Home
advantage.
Cooking, Michael Barnes and Mildred over there.
Yes, absolutely. And another thing.
Love that food.
Me too. I love it too. And another thing we're focusing on, we're focusing on beautification as well, which kind of goes hand in hand with safety. But we a lot of Ward 3 deserves a facelift. We deserve a lot of attention and a lot of those dollars to be funneled in the right direction. We can be looking at sanitation. We can look at the environment. I have an environmental team working with me on my campaign because they say, Chantel, why don't black people care about the environment? I say, you know what? It's a good question, because when they dump toxic waste, as we already know. Many people in our community have been fighting for it, but they dump in black and brown and impoverished neighborhoods. So we're looking at a median household income of about $27,000 to $28,000 a year. So we want to.
That's not a lot of money.
Right. So we want people to see more black children have asthma. What is it about our environment that's making our kids sick, making us sick? So once we make those connections, that's what I'm trying to do, is make the connections with from the information and the source to the people. I need them to understand what affects them, and I think I'm the voice to do that.
In Ward 3, as it relates to the city of Fort Myers, only people in her ward can vote for her.
Right.
So people need to know if they're in Ward 3. Some people don't even know they're in Ward 3. Give some big boundaries. If you live within this.
Okay. So the Quality Life Center, if you look at Lincoln, if you look at Ford, and you go all the way out to Fowler, some of the key points in Ward 3 that I know will be easily recognizable: Mount Hermon Ministries, which is right there on Martin Luther King, and as we head south back towards Fowler, back towards the Stars Complex, all of that encompasses Ward 3.
Is the Edison Mall and all that back there Ward 3?
I am not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure, but it's extending far enough back to there's a Jamaican restaurant that I'm really familiar with on Fowler Avenue, and we're still mapping a lot of it out.
Up to Shoemaker? Does it get over there yet, or do you know?
To Shoemaker, that is more out towards Ward 2.
Okay. All right,
Councilman Streets area.
Right. That's because it's not like a nice little
right.
square.
So it's cut in a way that sometimes, and you have redistricting to consider. So us mapping and cutting, we may be doing things differently by the time the election comes about. So I'm still being informed on that and how redistricting is going to affect this this election cycle.
Right. Now, a while back, people saw me interview the attorney. What's his name?
Godwin, Malcolm
Godwin. He
yes.
said he was going to be running in Ward 3, but you have some news to break to us right now.
So, well, I have some news to break. Okay.
That's what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, I get it. So
good.
Malcolm Godwin,
Good.
I had never heard of Malcolm Godwin until I saw Lee Pitts Live, and I see there's this gentleman that is running. Okay, he's an attorney, and I'm like, okay, so this is now going to be someone that I'm running against, an opponent, but in the spirit of what a lot of us represent, a lot of this younger generation, this wave represents, we reached out to one another. He made contact with me. We met up with one another. We told each other our life stories, and that's where it started. And from there, it turned into a situation where he now wants to support me.
Boy, that's beautiful.
In my run for Ward 3. So that's what I'm looking for. It's not about let me tackle or break the next person down. So we started off on a good foot, and he is out working on behalf of the people in our community. He supported a family who was violated by one of our local law enforcement agencies, and that's what it's all about. He used his expertise, and I respect him a lot.
Right, and that was just amazing, because they had posted the picture of this young boy, and then he allegedly he had a weapon in school or something like that, but he was able to get all charges dropped on that.
Well, the child was autistic.
Right.
And that's another thing that I want to bring awareness to. I'm a mental health professional. My 9 to 5 involves mental health. So I work at Golisano Children's Hospital, where I teach mental health classes, and I help parents understand their diagnosis. And it's not about helping parents understand, it's about helping teachers understand. I teach community members, healthcare professionals, because when this kind of situation could have been avoided had communication taken place between the school and law enforcement, and if people truly had a good understanding of mental health issues and illness.
That's why we need people on the ground who really know what's going on with people and in the community, like Chantel. Chantel, you are out here right now at Little League football, Pop Warner, the Firecats homecoming.
Yes.
You could have been doing a lot of other things with your life, but you came out here to spend your Saturday, and it just looked like a big family reunion out here.
That's exactly what it feels like. From the time I paid my money at the gate, I saw some people that I recognized, and I've been hugging and talking to people nonstop, and that's what I mean about being home. I couldn't get this reaction in China. I show up in China somewhere, they don't care, they don't know me, I'm not their family, they can't communicate with me, so that feels good.
And you were running as a Democrat?
So this is nonpartisan.
I know it's nonpartisan.
Right, and I am a registered Democrat.
Right.
I do not believe that the Democratic is the only way to achieve success, just in case, there's all these party beef, but I don't put the most emphasis on the party. I put more emphasis on what you believe, what you stand on, and a lot of time that does affiliate you to a party. But yes, I am a registered Democrat.
And many people know you when you rose to fame in terms of what I remember. I knew you were always, active and outspoken, but you really rose to fame in this community during the, I think it was George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, peaceful protest. Talk about the feedback that you started to get from that, because that's when all of us start to say, hey, Chantel could easily be a public servant in terms of the city council. Did that kind of surprise you how that coming your way all of a sudden?
Well, the timing of it did happen very quickly, and the question comes up, well, y'all out protesting, you're out making noise, what are you going to do about it? What happens next? And me running for office is simply my way of responding to a continued work that needs to be done. Everyone has their own way to show up to the table and show up in the spirit of action and duty, and this is how I'm showing up. Is to say, you know what, I want to represent a certain group of people. I want to represent in an area, and I want to lead in my hometown.
Well, that's beautiful. We're so glad to have you put your hat in the ring. It's going to be a long campaign season. We're going to be having you on Lee Pitts Live throughout that process. We're looking forward to getting your viewpoint out there and hearing your position on a lot of the things as you continue to build your platform, build your understanding of your ward, continue to come out for things like this and be amongst the people.
Yes.
Amongst the people. Now, when you become a city councilwoman, will you still be able to maintain the job that you have in the healthcare industry?
Well, actually, if I become a city council person, that would be my third job, because I have two now. I work as a religious education director at the Unitarian Church also. A fancy name for a Sunday school teacher. Yes. But leave it to me. I'm going to try to do it all. And but I also know how to detach and how to recognize, okay, where are my efforts going and where am I putting my energy so that I don't get burnt out, so that I can do my job effectively. So those decisions will be made by and by.
Been a pleasure having you on Lee Pitts Live.
Thank you. The only Lee that we acknowledge, and I'll continue to forever say that. If you ask me, I live in Lee Pitts County. That's how we've always felt. We have a lot of respect for you.
My swimmers are growing up, becoming leaders. I don't know if you remember the new motto I've coined now. Miami has the oranges, but Fort Myers got the juice.
Fort Myers has the juice. I like that.
Let's try that together.
But my favorite will always be peanut butter and jelly. That's what he taught in a swim class. He was teaching a technique, and that has stuck with me forever. But
you'll be surprised that since I've been sitting out here today, at least 4 of my former swim students have come through, coaches and everything else. And some of them I recognize, some of them I don't. But when they sit down in the chair, they go peanut butter, and jelly. I say, oh, you were in my swim class.
Of course.
And let me give you a little quick back on that before I close this out. So that's on my Learn to Swim DVD as well, right? The peanut butter song. And when I created the peanut butter song a long time ago, I was using it even when I was in high school teaching my swim classes. I kept carrying it over from generation to generation. Then when I got to Fort Myers, I carried it over here. And then when I was making my Learn to Swim DVD, the people who were advising me said, take it out of the DVD. Nobody knows about that. These are people who don't know how to relate to people.
Right.
And so I said, no, we're leaving that part in.
Yes.
And as the DVD became popular all around the world, and Learn to Swim DVD is dubbed in various languages. You don't know.
And I remember in that Learn to Swim DVD, there was even a portion about how we can take care of our hair while swimming.
Right.
Because there is a stereotype that black people don't do water, black people don't like to swim. And so there's so many myths that have to be dispelled about that. And that's the educational component. Black kids deserve to swim, and they deserve to know how to swim and know how to do.
You got pool in your ward.
Listen.
Stars complex.
Yes. So and that goes along with safety. We're looking at how many children are drowning, how many accidents are happening. We're taking a different approach to this, and we're not bashing our opponents. We don't do that. So I even spoke to my opponent, Terrellyn, had a respectful conversation with her. I'm actually related to her in a way.
You calling your opponent name on your interview? Oh my! You got to learn. Don't give your opponent extra publicity. I'll have to tell you that.
We don't look at it that way because I don't look at it in that way. And I know you're a professional, but it's a different wave. It's a different approach. But yeah, at the end of the day, everybody has to show up for themselves.
All right. The people who are not in your ward can support your campaign as well.
Yes.
They can donate money, and they can get out and knock on doors with you as well.
Eventually, yes.
So right now, how do you tell people to connect with Chantel, Rhodes for City Council? How do they connect to you right now?
Well, right now you can connect to me on Facebook as a website and everything is being established. You can connect with me at Chantel Rhodes 1908 at gmail.com. That's CHANTEL RHODES 1908 at gmail.com.
And your primary will be
so we're looking at the primaries around August of 2022.
Okay, so we got a nice little road to go, and we got plenty of time, and you're going to see more of her on Lead Pitts Live as well.
Yes.
And you'll also see her campaign commercials on Lead Pitts Live as well.
We doing it. Miami got the
oranges.
Miami got the oranges.
And Fort Myers got
the juice.
All right, and we're right out here in Little League football. You remember this field as a grown-up as a kid?
I do.
Tell us what you remember.
I remember Powell Park. I remember Camp Ujima. Fort Myers Housing Authority had Camp Ujima that would be stationed out here at Billy Bowlegs. My brother was a camp counselor. This was back when my mother was working for the city of Fort Myers Housing Authority, and I was just running around observing it all and taking it all in.
This old school, grassroots, salt of the earth.
Taking it all in. This is my home.
And what's so funny, man, it seems like when you and Darlene are moving around, everybody y'all relatives.
That's what I mean. So it's like it's impossible to get away from, that's why you mentioned, you're bringing up your opponent. That's my cousin. Really. I'm related to my opponent's daughter. So when you're dealing with family, you have to move respectfully, I would say. So, yes, here we are.
Well, over the last 30 years, I covered a lot of campaigns. I've seen it all, but I think this is the first time I've seen two cousins running against each other.
Listen, that's Black Fort Myers for you, and it's still all love. She was we had a respectful interaction, and I love Terrellyn. She's so gangster with it. She was like, well, I hate I'm gonna have to run against you, but here we go, and it was just that.
It's gonna be a respectful contest. A contest.
Yes.
It's good in a democratic society to have a contest and let the people choose who they want to lead. And that's what we're going to have here. We're going to have a nice, respectful contest. It all play out at Campaign Central on Lead Pitts Live as well. Chantel, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you so much, Lee.
I'm going to give you 30 seconds to look into that camera and make some final comments.
Fort Myers, I am here with you, and I am here for you. I am Chantel Rhodes, and I am running for Fort Myers City Council Ward 3. You'll be seeing a lot more of me. I am here for you.